I would rather trust a mother's intuition about their child than any doctor.
This episode is brought to you by Vivrel, the luxury membership club that lets you borrow designer handbags and jewelry without the full designer price tag. Whether you have a wedding, vacation, date night, or just want to feel a little more put together, Vivrel lets you switch up your look with access to incredible luxury pieces. Use code TheRunningWineMom to get started. Welcome back to the Running Wine Mom podcast. I'm your host, Samantha Selinsky, aka the Running Wine Mom. And today we're getting into a topic that I know a lot of moms are curious about, even if they don't always talk about it out loud. We're talking about homeopathy. My guest today is Marcus Fernandez. He's the founder of the Center for Homeopathic Education, and he created Homeopathy at Home to teach families how to use the method confidently in everyday life. He's worked with parents all over the world who want to better understand how the body heals and how to support that process, especially when it comes to their kids. In this episode, we're unpacking what it actually is, why it sparks such strong reactions, how stress plays into healing, and what this could look like on the inside of a real household. So whether you're skeptical, interested, or just trying to learn something new, this conversation is about understanding the perspective and asking better questions. So without further ado, let's welcome Marcus. Welcome, Marcus.
Hey, thanks, Samantha. Lovely to be here.
Yeah, so before we get into all the clean stuff, we start each episode with our wine, and win of the week segment. This is where we share our favorite bottle of wine, vent about something that's been bothering us, and celebrate our recent victories. So grab a glass, take a deep breath, and let's get started. So Marcus, what is your wine or drink of the week?
Well, I haven't. I actually stopped drinking about 26 years ago.
Wow, congrats.
Oh, yeah. I mean, not because I had a problem. I just decided. I was drinking quite a lot. I thought maybe I'll just stop for a month and then that just continue on to the next month. But, I do like the alcohol-free wine. It's not quite the same. Yeah. But to me now, after 26 years, it feels exactly the same when I drink it.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's that would be my choice if I had a choice.
Cool. And so what's your complaint wine of the week?
You mean, what do I want to whine about, you mean?
Yeah. What do you want to complain about?
No, there's a lot of things I complain about. The weather here in the UK, oh my God, it's just rained every single day since the new year. And I think it's been our wettest and lack of sunlight February we've just come out of, and January for 1905. So I want to whine about the weather. However, it's been very sunny. It's been very sunny today. It's been very sunny. Good. So, I am British. We talk about the weather a lot.
Well, over in Pennsylvania on this side, it is not much better. It's been terrible weather. We just got over a few large snowstorms and it's just been raining. And
yeah, I heard that.
Yeah, it's just been terrible. So what's your win of the week? Something positive this week.
Something positive of the week. That's a good one. A good positive of the week. Let's have a think. I think it's my daughter. My daughter, she's 10. And she's going to a new school in secondary school in September. She's called Maggie, if she's listening out there. She was really nervous about starting a new school because she's not going to know anybody because all the other kids, they're going to different places and she's going to a school where she's not going to know anybody. And we encouraged her to join a drama group where she didn't know anybody at all. So she had to make friends and go in there completely. And she just finished this last weekend, the performance. They did 4 shows of Aladdin, the musical, and she was so on cloud 9. And I said to her, I said to her, look, you see, I said, you can do this. You can go to somewhere that you don't know anybody and make friends. And she said, you know what, Dad, you're absolutely right. So that was a good win. That was a good win. That's
great. And such a confidence builder for kids, totally. To see that they've done that and they're involved. And that's just so cool.
But she was nervous. She was nervous before she had anxiety before the performance. She was nervous. So I gave her a homeopathic remedy called Argnit, which is good for. It's called Argnit, which is a remedy for anticipation, and especially an anticipation of an event coming up, like performance, or you can even use it going to the dentist, or if you're a bit nervous. And that really, because she had a funny tummy, and it settled everything down.
Wow, what about before you fly? Does that help you with your nerves?
Yeah, Argnit's good as well. Yeah, Argnit's. Yeah, so that's a really good remedy, Argnit, because it's about anticipating what can happen. That when you're worried about what can happen. And I've given that remedy so many times to people who have fear of flying, and it's really, really helped. There's many good remedies.
I'm such a nervous flyer. All right. Well, so let's kind of get into that. Tell us about what you do, what first pulled you to this direction. And you grew up in more of a conventional medical mindset. Is that what I read? And like,
Yeah.
how did that kind
Yeah.
of switch over to everything?
Yeah. So, I mean, yeah, my background is I was brought up, when you got sick, you went to the doctors. My parents, normally my mum would take me because not often mums are the ones that, take care
Yeah.
of all the healthcare. And we go to the doctors. I get sick, we go to the doctors or have or vaccines or whatever we had. And it's just what you did. And you never question the doctor either. That was the thing. My parents never would question the doctor. The doctor always knew right.
Hmm.
So I was brought up in a very, very conventional way. And this whole area of healing and well-being wasn't really on my radar. And I was in a band, I was 14. Actually, it was Bruce Springsteen, a New Jersey boy, not far away from where you are
Love it.
in
Yeah.
New
I'm not
Jersey.
far.
Yeah, yeah. I got very, very inspired by Bruce Springsteen when I was a kid, and so that got me to learn to play the guitar. I taught myself, and then all I want to do is get in a band. I wanted to be a
Hmm.
rock and roller, and so from the age of 14, I was in a band. And when I was just before I was 20, well, around being 20 years of age, we gig all the time, and never had any money. Was a poor musician, really. We only got money when we did gigs, and that's when we got paid. And at the time, we had this tour plan. We were going to tour Germany with the band, but I had no money, and I needed some money just to get there. Once I was there, I was fine because we get paid after the gigs, after what we did. Anyway, so I thought, right, I'm going to have to get a job, right, which is quite alien to me at the time. I'm going to have to get a normal job. And so I went to different jobs, and it was the early 90s, and it was the recession in the UK. You couldn't get a job, and the only job I could get was working in a nursing home with the elderly who had dementia. It was specifically for people with dementia. Now, honestly, Samantha, I can't say how far away that was from where my mind was at the time, but it was the only job I could get. So I started working there because I was only going to be there for a few weeks, and looking after the elderly, doing all the different stuff you had to do, working with the nurses there. And one day I was having a cup of coffee in the staff room on my break, and I was chatting to one of the nurses there, and I was talking away, and then she said, "I'm doing this course. I'm going to be doing this course in September on this thing called homeopathy." Never heard of it. I mean, it was like an alien word to me. What the hell
Hmm.
is homeopathy? To say it's a mouthful. And she explained what it was, da da da. And I said, okay, that sounds really great. She said, "Did you know what?" She said, "I think you'd make a great homeopath." I said, "What?" I said, "I think you make a really good homeopath." I went, "No, no, 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 you don't understand. I'm only here for a few weeks. I'm going to be a rock star, da da da, the usual thing."
Yeah.
She said, "No, I think you should come with me to this open day. There's an open day event. You should come. There's going to be lecturers talking there, teachers speaking about the course on homeopathy." And I went, "No, no, no, honestly, no, I'm really not interested. Thanks very much." I made my excuses and I left the room, went back to work. But Samantha, every time I saw her after that, whether it was in the corridor, in the car park, in the staff room, she'd say to me, "Mark, I really feel you should come with me to this open day." And I thought, I mean, she was older than me. I think she's probably about 35 or I don't know, 40. But when you're 19 or 20, that sounds quite old.
It's old. Yeah.
I thought, I thought maybe she's lonely. Maybe she just wants somebody to go with her. It's like a 2-hour trip, a car ride. So in the end, just to shut her up, I said, "Right, I'll come with you." Um, so it was going to be in a week's time. Anyway, the day before this open day was going to go, I woke up in the morning and I had terrible tonsillitis.
Hmm.
And I used to get a lot of tonsillitis. I was a singer in the band as well. I played guitar, but we were always in smoky clubs. I used to smoke. I was
Hmm.
drinking, rock and roll lifestyle, hedonistic. Anyway, so what I'd normally do is phone the doctors up, make an appointment, and they give me antibiotics. Now, it would get rid of it, but it would always come back.
Hmm.
It was never really getting to the source of it. So I phoned the doctors up, couldn't get an appointment. And I thought, what am I going to do now? And then I thought, I know, I'm going to try this homeopathy stuff this woman's been banging on about. So I got I got the bus into town, went to the local health food store. I thought, right, I'm going to try this stuff. And I asked the lady there, it was, do you sell homeopathy? She said, yeah, in the back. And I went to the back, and there was all these bottles of homeopathic remedies, all with really weird names like
Mhm.
pulsatilla, belladonna. I thought, God, that sounds like a poison. It is a poison. Arsenicum, nux vomica. And I thought, wow, what a great name for a metal band. Nux vomica must be a great name for a band. And then I looked at this little leaflet, and I looked at this leaflet, and it sold this remedy called gelsemium. And I thought, that sounds like my symptoms. It was like, felt heavy, achy, throat, headache, like a band, like a sensation on the head. So I bought it, and I went home, and I opened the jar, well, the bottle with the remedies, these little white pills. And I looked at it, I said, if this works, I'm going to go to this open day. But if it doesn't work, I'm not going to waste my time, and I'm not going to go.
Mhm.
So I took one of the pills. I can remember it very clearly. And I fell asleep. And I woke up in the chair. I woke up a couple of hours later, and I was absolutely soaking wet from sweat,
Wow.
absolutely soaking wet on my hair. I thought, wow, that was pretty powerful. I didn't even realize I'd fallen asleep. So I took another one, and the same thing happened. And this happened all day because remember, it's the daytime, it's not nighttime, daytime. And I went to the pub that evening with my friends, and I'm sat there, with my drink, and I'm sweating. And they're saying, "Are you okay? You look like death." I said, "Yeah." I said, "I'm sweating a lot, but actually I feel okay myself. I felt okay, like it was a good thing." I woke up the next morning, Samantha, no tonsillitis.
Wow.
And I've never had tonsillitis since. That's 30, how old am I now? That's 34 years ago.
Wow.
Never had it since.
Wow. Again, never again.
Never again. Never again. So that got me thinking. Now, so I thought, okay, I'll go to this open day, but I had no intention of signing up or, anything to do with it. So I get there with her in the car, and she's very excited. And the guy starts to speak. One of the teachers. In fact, he's the principal and founder of this college, the first homeopathic college really in the UK that he founded back in the early 70s, about mid 70s. So I'm listening to him talk, and he's talking about his experience, 30 odd years experience of homeopathy, and about remedies, and about his clients and patients and all the different cases. And I'm listening to it, and I remember going really quiet inside. It was like there was this stillness just came over me, and it was really quiet, like a quietness. I'd never experienced that before. That
Mm.
sort of stillness. It's like my mind just stopped, and it was like I felt I knew what he was talking about. I felt I knew it. It was like I was hearing truth for the first time. I can't really describe it any more than that.
Mhm.
But some part of me, a very deep part of me, really resonated it. It knew it to be true. And my
Awesome.
first thought was, if this is true, what he's saying, how come the whole world doesn't know about it?
Mhm.
Because he was talking about, 100 million people use it in India for the healthcare alone. There's on the homeopathic hospitals. There used to be in the UK. There used to have 4 or 5. And how much it's used around the world. And I thought, how come the whole world doesn't know about this?
Right.
I thought I knew it all at 20, you know?
Of course, we all
But
did.
obviously I didn't. Of course. Of course. And then my second thought was, I'm going to make sure the whole world does know about this.
Love that.
And yeah, and I signed up for this course. I knew nothing. I didn't have the money,
Mhm.
but I knew I had to do this. And often, I always say, you don't get into homeopathy. It pulls you in when the time's right. And I'm so grateful that it did because it shaped the rest of my life. And I'm so grateful it's in my life, in the life of my family and my kids. And, it truly was a start of a journey and an incredible journey.
Yeah.
And I can't believe how long ago that was. But I didn't make it to be a rock star. But hey, maybe I'm a rock star in homeopathy.
I love Yes, you did.
I've
In the
treated
U
plenty of rock stars. I've treated plenty
Oh,
of
I'm
musicians and
sure.
rock stars. But yeah, yeah.
So in
So
the
that's my
in
story, really.
Yeah, so I'm not sure in the UK if this is how they reference it, but in the US, moms who are using natural remedies, they're called like crunchy moms and I feel like there's a lot of people that think they have to be one way or the other way. Someone like myself, I kind of fall in the middle where I'm like, yeah, I trust the doctor, but also I'm really open to, giving my kids what is best for their body. but I don't really know enough about it. So, what would
Yeah.
you say to a
Yeah.
mom who like has, I'll say, because I have a 3-year-old, like my 3-year-old wakes up and they have the flu or they're sick, rather than grabbing like the cold medicine out or the flu medicine out
Yeah.
of the cabinet, what would you
Yeah.
tell them?
Well, start off with the first bit about what you're saying about crunchy mums. Sorry, we say mums in England. You say
Yeah,
mums. It's
it's
like
okay.
tomato, tomato.
That's what it is about it.
I ran a mother and baby clinic for many, many years. I always say, it doesn't have to be one or the other.
Hmm.
So it's about a scale. If I'm in a car accident, the first place I want to be is the hospital.
Right. Yeah,
Amazing.
right.
I mean, I've
Hmm.
worked in hospitals, medicine, fantastic. I'll probably be taking the remedy arnica if I'm conscious, and that did happen to me. But
Oh,
if I've
wow.
got a chronic disease, or I'm going to look at other ways to get my body to heal itself before I go down that surgery
Hmm.
or pharmaceutical thing. So to me, it's a scale. But I think that really we have to have a shift in our perception about what is health and what is sickness. So for me, it's sort of three things here, really, for parents and being a parent and know exactly what it's like. Um, I think the first thing is that your body is designed to heal, you know,
Hmm.
and our job is to support the healing response, not to suppress symptoms. And I think what happens is we we go to a place of fear very quickly because really of
Hmm.
lack of knowledge. Now, I remember years and years ago, your grandmother would be very much involved in the family health, or their mother. So there was a whole sort of wisdom around the family, and the grandmother knew what to do. Why? Because she'd been there before. The great grandmother used to know why, because she'd been there before. And I think what's happened is we've just given our power away, and there's a
Hmm.
lot of things we can do before we need to go down the pharmaceutical approach. In my mind. And I think that I always use this analogy, Samantha. It's like a car dashboard. If the oil light flashes, it means there's something wrong in the engine. But if you just take the bulb out or suppress the symptoms, there's still a problem in the engine. The car's going to break down 2 or 3 miles down the road. So what we need to do is get into the engine and sort of like really sort the problem out, and the light will go off by itself. So we've got to, like you said, we've got to stimulate the body to help it heal itself. And that's what remedies do. The second point is parents are more capable than they think. Okay.
Are we?
I think with a few remedies, yeah, that you are. And I think particularly mothers, I'm going to put this
Yeah.
out there. Mothers, I would rather trust a mother's intuition about their child than any doctor,
Hmm.
you
I
know?
agree. Yeah.
Any doctor in Harley Street, what we have here, which is like, the main medical street in London. You know your child, you know? And with a few remedies and some basic knowledge, families can handle most everyday illnesses, acute things at home, be it a cough, cold, fever. Of course, if it's sort of, you'll know intuitively when you need to get help,
Right.
But a lot of things can be dealt with, like I said, with some of these well, remedies, but also old sort of what we call wives' tale, the old grandmother recipes, that things you can do. And the third thing is, I think, slow down the panic. So often fear and urgency often leads to unnecessary medication.
Hmm.
So I think, again, when we have more knowledge, it sort of empowers us, and we slow down. It's like, okay, hang on a minute, let's just calm this down, let's just sort this out. So I don't know whether that makes sense. It's like
Yeah.
often when we calm down that panic, we make better decisions for our kids, I think.
What do you think the biggest misconceptions around the homeopathic life are? Because a lot of people say, oh, that's just like, that's not real medicine, even though it is real medicine. But what do you find that people are saying a lot, and how do you kind of get them to see that this actually works?
Well, I always say the proof's in the pudding. You don't need to believe in it. You just got to try it. But I always try to, I think part of my job as well as a practitioner, which I'm still a practitioner and still so patients, is the fact that it's really educating people. What is homeopathy?
Hmm.
So, what is it? Well, homeopathy is based on the principle of like cures like. So what that means, I'll give you an example. If you chop an onion up, your eyes water and your nose runs. Well, we use onion in a very diluted homeopathic form for people with hay fever or colds with the same symptoms of
Right.
eyes are running and the nose is running. Whatever can cause something in a large amount, in a small amount, it can cure it. So
Wow.
another good example, actually, let's bring it into wine.
Yeah.
People have a hangover after drinking too much wine. What do people say? Have a hair of the dog, which is a little bit of the stuff that caused it in a large amount.
Yes.
And that's really the basis of homeopathy. Another example would be coffee. Say you have a couple of espressos or drink lots of coffee, your whole nervous system gets wound up, and it's like your mind's running at 300 miles an hour. You're running around, your whole stretch, you can't sleep. Well, we use coffee or kefir as a homeopathic remedy for people that have those symptoms but haven't drank coffee. They're just really stressed out
Okay.
or they can't sleep. So whatever can cause something in a large amount, in a small amount, it can cure it. So that's the
Wow.
basis of homeopathy. And back to your question is, what do I say to people that say, "Oh, homeopathy is a load of rubbish, it's all placebo," or I always say to
Hmm.
people, "Well, what's your experience of it?" Well, I read that. "Oh, you read something. Try it. Just
Yeah.
try it."
Prove
And
yourself
actually for
wrong, right?
people, I know it's about wine. It's about wine. There's a remedy called Nux vomica, which is, well, yeah, I mentioned before, which sound like a good name for a band. It's the number one hangover remedy.
Oh,
Number
wow. I
one
need to get my
hangover
hands on
remedy.
that.
Get some of that. Yeah, get some of that. But the little tip for that though, Samantha, you take one before you start drinking, take
Mm,
one whilst you're drinking, and then take one if you can remember and you're conscious
after.
at the end of the night, and that will really, really helps to preventing
Cool.
hangovers.
So, as we said, you work with a lot of families. What patterns do you see in modern parenting that are really affecting kids' health physically, emotionally, all around?
Yeah. What do I think? Well, I mean, look, life's changed so much, I mean,
Mhm.
like I said, I started practicing homeopathy in the sort of like mid-90s, and things have changed so much. I mean, look, mid-90s, the internet was just coming on, it was
Right.
like there was there was no smartphones, there was no social media. I think I really think it's about, I just think it's about being present with our kids,
Mhm. It's
I
hard.
think it's being present with our kids. And listen, I know life's really tough, and I don't want to make anybody feel guilty. But I remember my Jimmy, my little boy, he's about 2, I don't know. And I was working on my laptop, and he came in and he was trying to, shut the laptop.
Mhm.
And I was getting a bit annoyed because I was trying to work, and I suddenly dawned on me, actually, he wants my attention.
Right.
You know, That's why he's shutting it. He wants my, I know it sounds obvious, but when it really lands, you suddenly go, wow, okay, what am I doing? But I don't know, modern parenting, I just think, look, we just need to be more present. I think we just need
Mhm.
to be more
It's
present with
hard.
our kids. And as they say, kids, my kids now are 15 and 10. It just goes so quick. And you suddenly turn around and go, wow, what the hell happened?
Yeah, it goes fast.
Yeah, and they say that, but it's like until you actually experience it, you don't realize it. So I just think be
True.
more present, and I think when you're more present, then you can really, parents have got it anyway, and particularly mothers. They've got a really strong connection, obviously, to children, to the child. But it's like anything, just making sure. Well, yeah, I don't know, sort of like, what's the word? I don't want to tell parents what to do, but it's the stuff that they know. It's the
Right.
sleep, it's the diet for mother, kids, and the kids. All the family eating well, sleeping well, moving, exercise, all those things, being out in nature, connecting with the
Mhm. So
world,
important.
not always on a screen, not always
Yeah.
on a screen. And I think a lot of the stuff around social media and screens, I think, this whole thing about anxiety in young people, I think, we need to be building our child's resilience.
True.
And to me, the more we use natural remedies, what the natural remedies do is stimulate the body to heal itself. It's like a workout for the body, like going to the
Right.
gym. When you're just taking pharmaceutical, it suppresses the system.
Mhm.
It's not
It's
getting
just
the
like you
system
said,
to
like,
work.
yeah, just
Yeah,
ignoring, you know, pushing down the problem rather than actually fixing it. So
exactly.
you're the founder of the Center of Homeopathic Education. Can you talk about that? Like, what would someone expect
Sure.
from there?
Yeah, sure. Sure. Yeah. Yeah. So I founded that back in, well, God, 28 years ago.
Wow.
And yeah, a long time. I can't believe that. But it's been an amazing time, and we're based in London. We have a classroom-based course, and where we train people to become practitioners. But also we do beginners courses, foundation courses, and practitioner training, as well as postgraduate training. But now, obviously, with our online courses, we have students all over the world, including America and North America. And the reason why I set up CHE was that I could only reach so many people in my own practice,
Right.
and I wanted as I said, remember what I said when I first discovered homeopathy? I wanted the whole world to know about it.
Hmm.
And so I wrote this statement, which I've really lived by all these years, which is my real vision is to enhance the health and well-being of humankind through the education and application of homeopathy. And that's been my North Star. And now we've got hubs all around the world, not in England, but also Australia, in Bulgaria,
Wow.
in Turkey, in Hungary. We got places all over the world now, hubs training practitioners. We've also got a clinic in Gambia in Africa where we have treated, oh God, 25,000 people for free over the past 15 years. And now we're training people in Gambia. This is our charitable thing that we do to become practitioners. So they're not reliant just on us going there and treating them. So yeah, it's a huge mission, but to educate people to me is the highest calling. And because we can affect so many people. And
So
over
many.
that period of 28 years, you can imagine we've trained thousands of practitioners now all over the world. And
Amazing.
also we have a free, I'll say this to your listeners, we have a free home prescriber course. We
Okay.
used to sell this course, but then during lockdown, I saw how many families were really disempowered around their health and well-being because
Hmm.
that was a huge, obviously, shock because all of a sudden it's like there was no
Yeah.
answer to the problem. A
Yeah,
year before the vaccination, it was like stay in your house, wear a mask. That was it. And that shocked a lot of people.
for
They
sure.
always thought that if the worst came to the worst, medicine would save them. And guess what? It didn't.
It
So
didn't.
people were then thinking, I need to look after. So we gave this course away for free. It's still free, and we've had 50,000
Awesome.
people, just over 50,000 people doing this course around the world.
Wow.
It's free, it's online, it's a 5-hour course, and it teaches you how to use homeopathy, even if you've had no experience at all, how to use it. And I would say, everybody go to the website, cchihomeopathy.com, and you'll see the home prescriber course, and it's free.
Okay. I'll
But
link that too.
if you do register it, watch it. Do watch it
Yeah.
because, we always how many times you sign up for things and we never watch them.
And so if every household could keep just 3 remedies on hand, what would they be and why?
Okay, so I would say number one, let's call it ABC.
Okay.
A is for arnica. Everybody needs to have arnica in their house. They need to have it in the car. They need to have it in the bag because arnica is the number one remedy for trauma. So
Oh,
it's number one remedy, especially for kids, bumps and bruises. My son has it in his bag when he goes and plays soccer. It's just the number one remedy for trauma, especially when people they hurt themselves, fall over, and they go, "Oh, I'm okay, I'm all right." But it's just the first remedy you give if your child or kids fall over or have any form of accident. Give them arnica. It's the number one trauma remedy. Second remedy, I would say, probably belladonna, because I'm looking at a B. I've said ABC, and belladonna. Belladonna is for fevers. It's for, the kids, it comes on suddenly, the fever, and they sort of like really burning hot. It can be so hot, it's like the heat's radiating from the skin. They can be, often the pupils can be dilated and they may crave lemons or lemonade or lemon juice or something to do with lemons. So it's a really good number one remedy for fevers, really hot, dry fevers. And what will happen is that with the remedies, they help the body. So it doesn't suppress it like taking, well, we call it Calpol in the UK. I don't know what you call it in the US, but it suppresses it. What it does, it helps stimulate it, and it will often break the fever. So the fever
wow.
will break, and then they sweat. And then the third one I would say will be calendula. That's C. So calendula is made from marigold. It's the number one remedy for cuts and grazes.
Mhm.
You can buy it as a remedy to take or as a cream. And I'd say definitely get calendula cream. It's fantastic for cuts and grazes. Again, where the kids are falling over, really, really great remedy for that. So they're the three. I've thrown a cream in there as well, a
Yeah, I love
calendula
that.
cream.
Now, a lot of people, that are listening, they might just, put it into their Amazon. Is that where they should they be going to a specific place, or can you just get it off the internet?
Well, I'd always say go to a reputable place, obviously,
Mhm.
but I would actually say I'm a big fan of local health food stores.
I agree too.
If
Yeah.
you, yeah, I would go to your local health food store. They'll have those three remedies.
Okay.
Absolutely, they will.
That's
But
good to
obviously, if
know.
you can't, you can go online. But I would go to your local health food store.
Yeah.
They'll have it.
I totally agree with that. I feel like sometimes like you hear a word and you're or a remedy and you're like, let me just look it up real quick. And sometimes for the busy moms, that unfortunately is the easiest. But I just didn't want anyone to get, if you see it
Yeah, no,
online,
sure.
like I don't know.
Yeah, no, no, you're right. I mean, listen, it's easy, isn't it? Look, Amazon's
Yeah,
easy, so you click a thing and you get it.
yeah.
So yeah, you can get it on Amazon. People places that got a lot of, you get there's so many you can get them online. I mean, you can go to homeopathic pharmacies who also will send it to you, but you'll get it online, and they have to. The remedies aren't like come under food; they come under medicine. So they have to be, in order to be sold, they have to strictly. There's a lot of
Okay,
restrictions around
that's good to
and
know.
quality assurance around the remedies. Yeah.
So I'm going to have you fill in the blank. If parents understood what about healing, everything would change.
If parents understood that symptoms are often part of the healing process rather than the enemy, everything would change.
Mm,
The body's trying to tell you something. Every time you
yeah,
have a symptom, the body's way of communicating there's an issue here. It's trying to show you. If you suppress it, you're frustrating that. So
yeah,
this has come really, this has really come from, don't really get into this, but this has really come from the pharmaceutical industry that, you need that. What does it do? It stops things, it controls it. But
yeah.
that's a very Western way of looking at healing. It's not an Eastern way of looking at healing.
Right. So true. All right. Well, you have given us so much information. For one last question, if a mom listening right now is overwhelmed, second guessing herself, wanting to do better for her kids' health, but not really sure where to start, what would you want her to hear before we end today?
I would say, well, number one, I said this right at the beginning. You know your child
Mm-hmm.
better than anyone. Okay. Don't underestimate your instincts as a parent. And as I said before, with a little knowledge and the right tools, you can support your child's health in ways that are incredibly empowering.
Right.
Often, when people really start using homeopathy with their kids, and often they get into homeopathy through their children, then they often never go back because they see the power. And what they're saying is, it's not the remedies are key to a lock.
Mm-hmm.
It's like a key to it. It's like a key in an ignition. It's like it turns the engine starts to go. You don't need to keep turning the key. The engine's already going. It's the same with the remedy. The power's not in the remedy. Just like the power's not in the key. The
Right.
power's in the body.
So
And
true.
the more that you use remedies, you'll see the amazing power of the body. For me, the biggest thing when I saw the power of the body was when my wife was in childbirth.
Yeah. Oh
And
my gosh, so true.
I was utterly good job men can't have kids, give birth, but, it was the power of the body. That's when you see it work. And actually, a lot of people use homeopathy like I did with my wife when she was giving birth. It's an incredible to see that power. It's raw
Yeah,
power.
it's so true.
And I think we forget that. We really forget that. And yeah, I just think please look into it. This is why I come on these podcasts. I do it because I want, as I said at the beginning, to help people know, tell the whole world what homeopathy is, because it is an incredible thing.
That's
It's the
awesome.
medicine of the people.
So I love that. And I think that's a great place to end it on those words of wisdom. So thank you, Marcus, for this. This
Absolutely.
is so helpful. I
Absolutely.
know everyone listening is going to take a lot from this. Again, it reminded me of how much power there is in understanding our options, our body, whether homeopathy is something that you explore or not. I hope this episode encourages everyone to ask the questions and stay curious about your family's health. So that's super important. As
Absolutely.
Yeah, and as always, thank you so much to the listeners for spending time with us today on the Running Wine Mom. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. You can follow me on Instagram at the Running Wine Mom _. And Marcus, where can the listeners find you?
Yeah, well, you can find my book called Homeopathy at Home. It came out last year, published by Hay House, Penguin Random House. #1 bestseller, Samantha, on Amazon.
I love it.
It's a really good guide it's an A to Z guide for things you get at home. A to Z, everything from, athlete's foot to bites and stings, for bumps and bruises, diarrhea, all the way to warts. It's an A to Z
Okay.
of the top remedies that I've chosen, like top 5 remedies for this, 4 remedies for fevers, top 3 remedies for teething. And I'd say to all of you, please get something like this book because it will really help. And it's not a book to be kept on your shelf. I want it to be used. I want it to be dog-eared. I want you to spill your wine on it. I want it to be used, all right? Not put on a shelf. So I would say that. But also, yeah, if you go to our website, chehomeopathy.com, you'll find out more about our courses and our free courses I mentioned. Now, we can give you for your resources as well for today's episode.
Awesome. And I'm going to link all those and your book as well. That seems like a great place for people to actually, start as well if you just have something going on and you can just
Absolutely.
look it up like an encyclopedia. All right. Well,
Exactly. The guide.
thank you again for today. This was great.
Thank you
Okay.
for having me.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. Remember, you are strong, you are capable, and you are all amazing. Until next time, keep running, keep sipping, and keep embracing the joy of parenthood. Cheers, and I'll be back next Tuesday.